Hello, my name is Christine Morales, and I'm going to be talking about Chapter 21, the digestive system, particularly the role of the pancreas and the liver in regulating digestion. So firstly, we are going to talk about the pancreas, and the pancreas secretes both enzymes and bicarbonate. They have both types of secretory epithelium, which is the endocrine and the exocrine secretions. And the endocrine secretions are made from isolates, which are clusters of cells, and you can see these right here and here. And hormones that are normally secreted by this are things that we know are insulin and glucagon, which of course help to regulate the blood glucose levels. The exocrine secretions are digestive enzymes and a watery solution of sodium bicarbonate, which is known by the chemical formula NaHCO3. And the cells that make this bicarbonate have high concentrations of carbonic anhydrase, and these cells are made of globules that are known as acini, which are seen here, and the ducts here will then later empty into the duodenum. And these acini cells, of course, secrete the digestive enzymes, and the duct cells are what secrete the sodium bicarbonate solution. So most enzymes are secreted in an inactive form, and they are known as zymogens, and later they'll become activated in the intestine via a sort of cascade system. So an example of this would be the brush border enzyme enteropeptidase will convert the inactive trypsinogen, the zymogen, to the active form trypsin. And then this trypsin can then convert the other pancreatic zymogens to their active forms. So this is like an example of the cascade system. So signals that will allow for this pancreatic enzyme release include distension of the small intestine, presence of food in the intestine, neurosignals, and the GI hormone CCK. And these pancreatic enzymes will enter the intestine as the watery fluid that has the bicarbonate. So here we can see histology of the pancreas. Right here are the islet cells, and right here the acinar cells. So bicarbonate secretion from the pancreas requires a lot of carbonic anhydrase, and this is secreted into duodenum to help neutralize acid that comes from the stomach. Some bicarbonate secretion is made in the duodenum, but a majority of it is from the pancreas. So this is made from CO2 and H2O, the carbonic anhydrase, and it is secreted by the apical chloride ion bicarbonate ion exchanger, which is seen right here. And the hydrogen ions that are made with the bicarbonate leave cells via the basolateral sodium ion hydrogen ion exchanger, and the hydrogen ion will get reabsorbed into the intestinal circulation to help balance out the bicarbonate ions in the blood when the parietal cells secrete the hydrogen ions into the stomach. So chloride for the bicarbonate exchange enters cells on the basolateral NKCC cotransporter, and then will leave via the apical CFTR channel, which can be seen right here. Okay, and then the luminal exchange for the luminal chloride ions will then re-enter the cells in exchange for the bicarbonate ions entering the lumen. So the CFTR channel can be defective, and that will lead to things like cystic fibrosis, which I will talk about on the following slide. But it's important also to mention that in the pancreas and the intestinal crypts, sodium and water solution secretion is passive, and this is actually driven by osmotic gradients, and it's right here. So the movement of negative ions from the ECF to the lumen will make a lumen-negative electrical gradient, which will attract the sodium, so it passes between cells via leaky junctions going into here. And then the water will follow because, the saying, water follows salt. So the result of this is a secretion of the water sodium bicarbonate solution. But going back to cystic fibrosis, this is caused when an individual has an inherited mutation that causes the CFTR channel protein to be defective or absent. And so secretion of chloride ion and fluid ceases, but the goblet cells will continue making mucus, which will lead to a thickened mucus. And as seen here in this image, the thickened mucus makes it very, very difficult for an individual to breathe because there's not a lot of space for air to move through, unlike here in the normal airway. But that can be treated with things like mucus thinners, and a popular one is pulmozyme, also known as Dornase alpha. And these help thin the mucus in airways so that it can be coughed out of the lungs more easily. There is another popular way of treating cystic fibrosis, and that's by an individual cupping their hand, and I don't use the word hitting, but they are hitting the other individual very, very hard on their back to loosen the mucus so that the individual with cystic fibrosis is able to cough it out. So now we are on the liver, and the liver secretes bile. Bile is a non-enzymatic solution that is made from hepatocytes, and bile consists of three main things, which are bile salts, bile pigments, and cholesterol. And bile salts will help facilitate enzymatic fat digestion. An example of a bile pigment would be something like bilirubin, which is a waste product of hemoglobin degradation. And cholesterol is something that is excreted in feces. So these bile salts are detergents that allow fats to become more soluble during the process of digestion, and they are made from a amino acid that is conjugated with a steroid bile acid. So bile gets secreted by hepatocytes, which are of course liver cells right here, and they go from the hepatic ducts to the gallbladder right here, and the gallbladder is where bile is stored and concentrated. And then when an individual will eat a meal that is high in fat, the gallbladder will contract so that the bile can then go into the duodenum via the common bile duct right here. So the gallbladder actually isn't a necessary organ. If the duct becomes blocked by gallstones, it is commonly removed in surgery. Bile salts are very important. They can actually be reabsorbed, and they aren't altered during the fat digestion. When they reach the end part of the small intestine, known as the ileum, they will encounter cells that will reabsorb them and send them back into circulation. And then the bile salts that reach the colon will get converted back into bile acids by bacteria there, and then they will get sent back to the liver, where they are taken up by hepatocytes so that they can be resecreted, and this will happen about 2 to 5 times. So of course, things that don't get reabsorbed are like bilirubin and other wastes. They will get excreted in feces instead. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.